Hello everyone. So this week has been really interesting actually because we saw that the Nasdaq closed at 11969, so which is below 12,000, and of course that is a bit of a trouble because 12,000 was one of the important psychological levels that the market should have hold. However, it is what it is. So let's see what is happening. Let's try to make some sense out of this. Now, let's zoom in. So this was the trend line the price was in before. Now falling below the bottom part of this channel and of course below the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart. But we can see both moving averages are here, the 100 and the 50 moving average. 100 moving average is 11845, 50 moving average 11927. So yeah, we are trying to maybe bounce from the moving averages. If not, because like I mentioned before, this whole thing, look at this whole thing is actually a bull flag that is forming. However, there is one part which is this bear flag channel and we are breaking out of this, so that is a bit of a trouble. But if we try to make another trend line, let's try to make a trend line from this point, actually roughly somewhere around here. So we have got this wick over here, this one over here, some action over here, and then over here. So we have some point of contact. So if we talk about this trend line, this is roughly 11658. So you can see, yes, a further decline is possible. Even the RSI is still 39. So that is something to be a bit concerned about for the Nasdaq 100. Quickly, let's jump over to S&P. So S&P is a bit interesting. Let me get rid of this previous bear flag that we had. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, let's get rid of this. So 4000 level, again a psychological level on S&P 500, and the 200 moving average and the 100 moving average both are at around 4000. The 100 moving average is at 3975. So we are getting a rejection from these moving averages and we have broken below the 4000 psychological level. However, the interesting thing is this channel, this downtrend from December 2021 is here. And look at what is happening now. Price broke out of this and looks like that the price is trying to test this. And this is a very normal behavior actually, that whenever price breaks a trend line, it usually comes back to test it again. So probably this is what is happening. Maybe 3950 is possible and the market might try to bounce back above 4000 from here. So this is some scenario that is actually developing on the S&P. So S&P is not looking that bad as compared to what is happening on Nasdaq. Also, if we look at this whole thing, a major intersection, you can see what is happening. As you can see, this is support, a lot of action here, and now coming to test here. If I zoom in, look at this. This is actually the intersection point of this upward trend line and the intersection point of this long-term downtrend. So we are at a very crucial test actually for the S&P 500. A successful bounce from here. Let's see what will happen. Let's take somewhere around here. Just be a little bit conservative. So you can see all these retests that were happening. If we continue and show a nice bounce, then yes, 4250, somewhere in this range, 4230, 4250, somewhere around here can be the next point. And let's see how much pump does this represent actually. So this is roughly 6-7% pump in the S&P 500, which is possible, which is a good number, and it also confirms that yes, price is changing direction towards an uptrend. So that is a good thing. However, we want to see price breaking above this 4300, 4350. So that will be really nice actually. One of the reason being because price dropped over here and now we are forming this pattern. So we are actually trying to form a bear flag on the S&P 500 itself. For our RSI sitting at 37.2, little bit further decline possible, maybe 39.50, 39.25, and price might try to bounce from there. But yes, overall price is trying to test this range, so that is important. Also in terms of the volume itself, you can see 3950 is an important number, 3958 roughly, because if we talk about since February 2020, we have seen large amount of volume in this range. The next area of interest is 4131. So yes, it is possible that we find some support in this area and try to bounce from here. So that will be nice actually if that happens. Now talking about the VIX index, because that is also important. So look at what is happening. We saw one rejection from the 200 moving average, same like what happened here. And then we got some more rejections and it went down, and that is when the market was pumping. So now we got the first rejection from the 200 moving average. There's a chance there might be some other rejections from the 100 moving average. Something of this sort can happen, and then price might try to drop again, which might give us a small bounce in the S&P, in the Nasdaq again. So that is important. Another important thing to consider is, like I explained, the VIX. Let's talk about Tesla itself, because this is a bit interesting what is happening. This price point of roughly 193, 195 is actually important, because look at all of this action happening here, and also the volume on the right side is telling us that this was important, because you can see a spike in volume here. So price is trying to find support, which is good. However, if I try to draw up this quick trend line, and then we'll try to see what is happening with the price. So you can say that in a way we are getting squeezed over here. This was the uptrend, and now we are trying to form this pennant pattern. So this is one of the things that is happening for Tesla currently. Actually, there are multiple bullish patterns that are forming. First one, not bullish, but yes, this is the one, the pennant itself that is forming. Now I'll show you the bullish patterns also. Starting with, if I quickly zoom out and show you, look at all of this drop. This happened, then again this, and bounce, major drop, nice bounce again, another retest. Now if I look at all of this, it looks like an inverse head and shoulder pattern is trying to form on the Tesla stock. So as you are aware that inverse head and shoulder pattern is actually a bullish pattern, so that is a good formation. Plus, let me remove this and show you one more thing. If I try to draw up this line, so it is looking like that this is the line the head and shoulder pattern is trying to follow at the moment. So this is still good. This is good action. This is all bullish action on the Tesla stock. So we are at what, 196.88 was the close on Friday. So a bounce from here. First of all, this 200 moving average in red is sitting at $214 roughly. So this can be one of the first targets, and the next one, $225 is possible on Tesla. So yes, this is one of the bullish patterns forming on Tesla, inverse head and shoulder. The next one, I have talked about this before also, is that we might form a bull flag, something like this. Price is up and then we are stuck in this range. Price keeps bouncing between this range unless we see a breakout and a retest and continuation of the bounce. So yes, these are some of the bullish patterns forming on the Tesla stock. So this can turn out to be good for Tesla. Apple, let's check Apple also. Once again, rejection near the 200 moving average, and you can see we are starting to see a crossover about to happen. between the 100 and the 50 moving average. So we are trying to hold above 145 currently. The moving average is here also, so another bounce from this point onwards might be good. However, the RSI is still 42, sorry. So 42 RSI means yes, there is more scope towards the downside, because look at over here what happened. 25-30 RSI is from where we are generally seeing some bounces in the market. So if that is the case, if RSI wants to go below 30, then yes, we are looking at maybe $140. Some action is available in the $140 range. So we have to keep an eye on $140 for the Apple stock. Now moving towards some more stocks, looking at NIO, we are seeing a breakdown in price. This was the trend line, price was following, and we are seeing a breakdown from this trend line for NIO. Now looking at the left, look at this action at around $9.5. We tried to find support, so maybe it is possible that we might find support again, try to bounce towards $10. If not, then yes, 9, 8.5. This is somewhere we might find some good support for the NIO stock. And if you look over here, Wednesday 1st March is when the earnings will be announced. In case earnings are good, then yes, this can actually turn around the story for NIO. Otherwise, we are heading downwards, maybe $6-7. So yeah, some of these stocks. Talking about gold, so gold again is dropping hard right now because of course the dollar index is getting stronger. If I try to draw fib levels on gold, I want to show you two things. First one for gold is 0.382 level sitting at 1828. So this is from where we are facing the rejection currently. And the 0.5 level is sitting at 1788. So yes, roughly this area 1788, 1800 is an important area for gold. However, if you talk about the RSI, we are sitting at 27.89. If you look over here, when RSI was 25, we saw this short-term bounce. Then if we keep looking to the left, we can find some more examples telling us that the 25 level on the RSI is actually very important for gold itself. But yeah, looks like 1800 might get tested on gold. Now let's jump back to the S&P 500. Again, I want to show you the weekly chart for this, because there are some important considerations in the weekly chart. That is, we have seen 3 candles that are towards the downside. Generally, this is a pattern, it's a technical pattern that you might see a bounce after 3 downward candles. So it is possible that from this point onwards we might see a little bit of a pump next week. And like I explained, this was a long-term trend line. We have broken out, a retest of this is happening. So very important moment for the S&P 500. Also, if you look over here, the 50 moving average is sitting at 4,000 exactly. This green line over here is at 4,000. Again, 4,000 being a psychological number is very important to hold this. However, we failed to hold this level on Friday. And if I zoom out, I want to show you this point. This red line you see over here, this is known as the point of control, which means a lot of volume was traded at this price, and this is sitting at 3950, coinciding with this major intersection that we are having. So yeah, it might present a nice bounce from here, and if we see that bounce, then yes, this level here, roughly 4250, might happen next week or over the next few weeks. So if you try to calculate this, how much would that be? Roughly 6%, 6.5% pump is possible if we see a technical bounce from this level. Also look at this, another area for the volume is sitting at 4140. So it is telling us that yes, from this volume support we can jump to the next volume resistance at 4140 on the S&P 500. So it is important to continue this upward trend that we are seeing in the last few months, that price bounces from here. Otherwise we are heading back to lower levels, maybe 3800, 3700, you can see that the 100 moving average is sitting at 3732 in the purple. So yes, technically there should be a bounce from here, and that will really help the market. Now, as you know, the dollar index itself is a very important factor. So if we look at the dollar index on the weekly chart, there are some important things that we need to consider here. So let me get rid of these old lines. I want to show you what is happening. First one being, of course, very strong uptrend was there, and straight away we saw a rejection as soon as the market felt that yes, the Fed is going to slow down, and that is the point from where we saw this huge drop. However, look at this. We saw a nice bounce from the 50 moving average from the support of roughly 101 on the dollar index. So this is a bit concerning in the sense that technically DXY is trying to bounce from here. It will try to go next resistance level. So for that, if I quickly try to draw up the fib levels and show you what is happening. So you can see the 0.5 level is sitting at 102.2. So yes, technically this is known as the start of the gold zone. So we saw a bounce from here. So that is good. Next resistance is again 0.382 sitting at 105.25. So there is a chance that we might just reject from here, because if we don't reject from here, the next level is somewhere around over here, roughly 106.5, and that will of course not be good for the market. Now let's examine a little bit more what is happening here. So the last time, you can look over here in January, you saw this rejection, inverse hammer pattern. So big rejection here, same happened again over here. However, the problem is this time the weekly candle is full, there are no wicks, so it shows very strong upward move. So this is the concern that I have right now, that because of this pattern we might continue upwards towards 107 level, roughly around here, 107. And if that happens, then yes, not good for the markets. S&P, maybe we will see 3900, 3925. Also, the weekly RSI is sitting at 50.86. So yes, there is scope towards the upside. But this is a bit of a concerning situation. The candle itself for this week was not good for the overall market. Let's jump into the daily chart also and see what is happening. Again, you can see a very big candle, almost no wicks, showing nice upward move and trying to go above the 50 and the 100 moving average. So trying to create this bullish pattern, and you can see the 200 in red over here. So market tries to bounce from here. Now we can see one thing which might help the markets, which is if you look over here, this price level. So there was a rejection from here before, and that time if I look at the RSI, it was only 51, and now we have pumped so much, but the RSI is still 68. So this is sort of a bullish bearish divergence that is forming. Not a big one, but a very, very small bearish divergence is forming. However, if we see continuation of this pump, then immediately 107 level around here is what the market might try to target. So if we try to calculate this, how much would that be? 107 is somewhere here, 1.66%. So a 1.66% pump on the dollar index, so roughly maybe a 2% drop on the S&P 500, and 2% drop right now means 3900 can happen over the next few days, because if we pump in the dollar index, then of course the opposite will happen on the S&P 500. Let's also check the 4-hour on the dollar index. So again, look at this, what is happening. Very bullish candles over here. Price is trying to consolidate. A very small a very small bull flag is trying to form on the dollar index. So continuation of the pump is possible. However, my concern is the RSI is sitting at 75 on the 4-hour chart, so quite high already. If you try to go back in the past and see what happened at around 75 RSI, so look at this drop, not a big one, but yes, it started to form a bull flag again once we reached 75. Another example is here where we saw a big drop, and before that it has been long time since we saw 75 RSI. Somewhere around here we saw a drop. So given that the strong upward action is there, there might be a bull flag that will try to form something of this sort until we meet the 200 moving average in red, which is currently sitting at 104.3, and it might try to bounce from here again, because we have seen recently that the inflation is still going up. So yes, it is giving Fed the chance for more interest rate increases, and that will pump the DXY, which means a dump in the S&P and the Nasdaq 100. So we have to wait and see what type of technical pattern starts to form over here. Maybe a bull flag will form, but let's see. Overall, yes, a lot of pump has happened. Some sort of a cool down is needed on the dollar index. Otherwise, if it pumps too hard suddenly, then yes, the same will happen on the opposite side, which is a dump will happen very quickly also. So now if we try to talk about the Dow Jones index, again you can see price is trying to consolidate in this range on the 4-hour chart. So this is actually good, because this means we are trying to form a bull flag on the Dow Jones index, and we might see a pump from here towards the upside. So again, technically this is what the pattern is forming. Let's take a look at the weekly. So we saw a nice pump, and now we are seeing some sort of a dump happening. So quickly checking the trend lines, what is happening. So we broke out of this trend line, retest, tried to bounce, rejected again, now rejecting again from here. So maybe lower level of 31,500 might happen on the Dow Jones index. Let's take a look at Tesla also. On the weekly chart itself. So the good thing is for Tesla, like I mentioned before, some bullish action is forming, because if you look at this price action, we are trying to form an inverse head and shoulder on Tesla. The 100 moving average on the weekly sitting at roughly 185. Price is trying to stay above that, which is nice. Also, the 200 moving average is at 128. Again, price is above this. So now the real difficulty is crossing the 50 moving average, which is sitting at 222 currently. So if this is really a inverse head and shoulder pattern, then yes, this will really help the market. It might push the market up. Also, if you try to draw this trend line, so for the inverse head and shoulder, it is possible that we might try to do something of this sort. Again, retest here and try to continue upwards. So this is a nice bullish action that is forming on Tesla. Hopefully 225 is what we'll see soon. Another pattern that is forming on Tesla is actually this pattern where we consolidate, try to form a bull flag, and then try to break outside of this. So that is another pattern that is possible on the Tesla stock. So multiple bullish actions are forming, which is a good sign. Let's talk a bit about Bitcoin also, because we have seen a lot of action recently. So we can see the 100 moving average is sitting at 380, and that is from where we saw rejection in the last 2 weeks. But overall, nice pump is happening. And if I quickly go to the daily chart for Bitcoin and try to see from this point, actually from this point, so we can see that 0.236 level is 23150. Price is trying to stay over here. Otherwise, the next level is 0.382, sitting at 21868. So a retest of lower level is possible. We cannot ignore that possibility. Otherwise, there is a small chance of something of this sort can happen if I try to move this a little bit up. So 22,500, 700, somewhere around here is where we can try to see some bounce on the Bitcoin itself. So yeah, this was a quick overview of the markets, of what is happening. So do let us know what you think, and hopefully we'll try to do another live session hopefully next week, and let's all hope that we see a nice bounce from here on both the Nasdaq and the S&P. So yeah, I'll hopefully see you guys next time. Until then, please take care and see you.